We will begin tonight, as we always do in this room, with a very simple question that is not at all simple once you try to live it. What is silence for, and why only one night? Must we become monks? Certainly not. Must we leave our responsibilities? No, it makes no difference whether you have a family to feed, dishes in the sink, a report due in the morning, or a neighbor playing the radio too loudly. If God is principle, creative, maintaining, sustaining, then the night is not our way of coaxing God into action. We are not bribing the sun to rise. We are clearing the window so the light, which is already shining, may be seen. Now, you see, this has to be something we can actually do. Otherwise, it is just more religious talk, and we have had enough of that. So I am going to ask each one of you to adopt a one-night experiment, not a lifetime vow, not a dramatic resolution. One night. From the time you decide until you sleep, and from the time you awaken in the small hours until the morning light, we will stop talking to life. We will not bargain with it. We will not reprimand it. We will not flatter it, and we will not fill the air, inner or outer, with our own commentary on what is happening. Do you see what I'm getting at? This is not an escape. This is a test, and it will tell you in one night what a year of spiritual gossip will not. Must we then become silent, as in a vacuum, no thoughts, no sounds, a sort of human refrigerator humming in a corner? No, that is not silence. That is stunt work. Mental quiet is not the goal. You can force the mind to count the breath and get a momentary blankness. And some of you do that very well, but that is only a blank page, with the printing press still rattling in the room. Spiritual stillness is different. It is the recognition that there is a presence already speaking, already knowing, already maintaining harmony, and our words, our nervous little explanations, have been like static on a radio. We are not conjuring up a voice. We are removing the hiss. Treat this as something sacred, secret, not a performance, not a social media challenge, not a badge for your personality. You do not need to impress your friends with your courage to be quiet. The minute you try to make a headline of it, you have already broken the silence because you have turned it into a story about you. Do you remember how often I have said, keep the word locked up inside you until it becomes a babe? So it is. You will protect this night the way a mother protects her child. No announcements, no reports, no fishing for compliments in the morning. Oh, I was so spiritual last night. Nonsense. This is your holy of holies. Enter and shut the door. What then happens when we stop talking to life? When words stop, being speaks. Not as words, not as visions, not as fireworks. Please do not expect the ceiling to open and angels to sing. That is theatrics for immature minds. Be assured of this. If the presence is what we say it is, omnipresence, then it has been here all along. The one-night experiment is not to bring God in. It is to stop pushing God out with our noise. When the words stop, you can become aware of what has always been speaking beneath your words. The quiet authority that does not argue, does not negotiate, does not praise one moment and condemn the next. Be still and know that I am God. Not become God, not achieve God, no. Must you withdraw from your household to attempt this? It makes no difference. If there are children to bathe, bathe them in silence. If there are bills to pay, pay them in silence. If there is a sorrow pressing at the edges of your heart, let it be present without your commentary about what it means and how it will end. The instruction is not complex. For one night, set down the habit of narrating your life to yourself and to others. Set down the habit of judging your progress. Set down even the spiritual chatter, affirmations, denials, pious phrases that you have been using to feel spiritual. We will use them later when they are tools in the hand of silence, not crutches. Now you see, I am not promising you results. I am not promising you money in the mail or a vision in the sky. That would be to make silence another way of trying to make God do something. Any prayer aimed at trying to get God to do something is just sheer stupidity. You cannot coax the tide to come in. You can only stand still and watch the law reveal itself in its hour. So it is. This night is a test that proves a principle. Beneath the constant rehearsal of fears and hopes, there is an I that never speaks in panic and never needs reassurance. When your words subside, that I will not appear as a dramatic stranger. It will be recognized as the one that has carried you since before you knew your name. Stand ye still. I will repeat it because some of you will forget before you reach your car. Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God's. For one night, refuse to take up arms against your mind. Refuse to take up arms for it too. Do not fight your thoughts. Do not nurse them. Let them draw near and pass as if you were watching birds against the last light. If you falter and speak, if you catch yourself rehearsing a speech to your boss, or to your spouse, or to your past, stop, smile inwardly, and return to silence. No condemnation. It makes no difference. The law is not fragile, and you cannot break God by making a mistake. You are only learning how to take your hands off the instrument, so that the music, which is already composed, may be heard. Do you see what I am trying to plant here? A night that is doable, a night that is dignified, a night that asks for nothing and so discovers everything. When you lie down, do not make a report. When you rise in the night, do not take inventory. When the dawn comes, do not congratulate yourself. Say nothing about it to anyone. Let the residue of that stillness move through the day like a fragrance you cannot bottle. And if before the day is out, some small fear tries to persuade you that nothing happened, that you failed, remember it is precisely then that you have proof of the value of the night. You have stopped measuring your life by noises and are beginning, perhaps for the first time, to recognize a presence that needs no words to be what it is. One night, that is all I am asking. Not because it will build your spiritual muscles, but because it will remove the gauze from your eyes. In that simplicity, without fireworks, without display, we will begin to hear what has always been speaking beneath our words. And quietly, secretly, sacredly, we will begin. Now, because we have set ourselves to one simple night, we must first look frankly at the tyrant that has been ruling us without our consent. And some of you don't even know its name. It is not your work, not your family, not your history. It is the running commentary that pretends to be you. Do you think you are your opinions, your rehearsals for tomorrow's conversations, your explanations for why you did this or failed at that? Do you think you are your self-defense, your planning, your regret, your cleverness? Do you see what I'm getting at? Those are only words about you. They are not you. They are phrases strung together like beads on a string, and if you break the string, the beads scatter, but the you that held the string is still there. I know you have been trained since childhood to bow to the voice that narrates. It takes the stage the moment you wake. This is me thinking about my day, me reviewing my faults, me comparing, me judging. Now you see, that is not a self. That is a script, and a very poor one, because it is patched together from yesterday's headlines and tomorrow's imaginations. Do you think you are your memories? Certainly not. Memories are postcards. Do you think you are your fears? It makes no difference how convincing they sound. They are forecasts, not facts. Do you think you are your cleverness? Cleverness is a tool, and a tool belongs in the hand of a workman, not on the throne of a life. So let us make a clear distinction right here in this room, in this class. Words are good servants, terrible masters. Language is a marvelous tool. We use it to arrange the groceries, to write a letter, to give directions, to shape a lesson such as this. But when the tool leaps up and declares, I am your identity. I must speak incessantly or you will not exist. Then you are living under bondage. The radio has become all static and you have mistaken the static for music. A lens meant to reveal the scene has turned opaque with fingerprints, and you are staring at the smudges, calling them the world. It makes no difference how refined the sentences are, how poetic, how logical. When the commentary assumes the chair of identity, it is a tyrant, and you bow to it at the cost of peace. You can test this for yourself without a sermon, and that is why I propose a single night. I am not asking you to hate words or to fight them or to claim some spiritual merit by silencing them through willpower. Must you stop speaking altogether? Certainly not. But do you see? We are going to recognize commentary for what it is, a mechanism. It clicks on, it runs, it clicks off. It is a habit of the mental instrument, useful when we put it to use, destructive when it assumes use over us. And the question that matters, the only question that matters in this experiment is this: if that mechanism stops for a moment, what remains? If the voice pauses, even for a few breaths, does life stop? Does awareness cease? Or does something remain that is nearer to your eternal identity than any sentence you have ever rehearsed? Some of you will say, "But my day is too busy, my head too loud, my responsibilities too many." It makes no difference. It makes no difference if your day was crowded like a marketplace at noonday or quiet as a village lane. One night is enough to expose a mechanism, because a mechanism cannot survive where it is not fed. The commentary feeds on opposition. It feeds on your belief that it is you. It feeds on your compulsion to argue with it or improve it. Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God's. In non-resistance, the machinery runs out of fuel and there is a gap. In that gap, now listen closely, in that gap something is present that does not need your words to be. Do you see what I'm getting at? We are diagnosing a very simple confusion. The mind, like a secretary, has taken over the office, answering its own letters, stamping its own approval, and shouting through the hallway that the boss is busy. The boss is not busy. The boss is not even in the same category as the secretary. The boss is presence. The boss is life itself, the fact of being the I that is before the sentence, I think. When the secretary becomes the master, the office deteriorates into busyness without business, and at night you are exhausted, not from living but from listening to the stenographer narrate your life. Does it make any difference how eloquent that stenographer becomes? No, it is still not you. And so we do not condemn language. We put it back into its place. Words are forms. Thought is form. Identity is cause. When I say cause, I mean that which is before, that which sustains. The mistake we have made is to grant cause to commentary, to believe that because it says I, it is I. But the chatter that says I is borrowing a sacred name. It is like a mask saying, I am the face. Remove the mask and the face remains. Allow the words to drop, and what remains? A quiet aliveness that did not begin with the sentence and does not end with it. Now you see why a single night suffices as a test and not as an achievement. If you had to build identity out of better, brighter commentary, you would be at it forever. There is no end to improvement projects in the realm of words. But if identity is already present, if it is the ground on which words appear and disappear, then it is not achieved. It is recognized, and recognition comes not by struggle, but by stillness. Be still and know, not do more and know, not argue with the mind and know. Be still and know that I am. I am before explanation. I am before defense. I am before plans and regrets. Do you see? The mind will object, of course. It will tell you that without it you will miss your train, lose your talent, become dull. It makes no difference. A servant can warn you when the train comes. It need not narrate your soul. The useful mind can plan an itinerary. It need not dictate the meaning of your existence. The tyrant mind, however, never stops at utility. It demands identity. It says, "Without me, there is nothing." And that is the lie this one night unmasks. When the words stop, only a little, only long enough for you to taste the space beneath, you will discover that nothing essential has been lost and something essential has been found. I am not asking you to believe me. I am asking you to observe. Tonight, when you notice the narrator beginning its rounds, you should have said, "You must make sure. What if tomorrow?" Do not take up arms. Do not enter the debate. Simply note, a mechanism is running, then sit you down quietly, not to force an end, not to perform a trick, but to allow a quiet that is already nearer than your next sentence. It makes no difference how many times the commentary returns. Your refusal to identify with it, without hatred, without fear, reveals the difference between tool and master, between sound and silence, between the mask and the face. And if you should ask, how will I know that I have seen the difference? The answer is not in words. You will know because peace, not explanation, will be present. Authority, not argument, will be present. A simple, wordless sense of being, the fact I am, will be more real than the most brilliant thought you ever had about yourself. That is our diagnosis. The non-stop inner monologue has been masquerading as you. It has no authority except what you grant it. It is not your life. It is noise around life. And one night, just one, lived without bowing to it, will begin to show you the contrast so sharply that you may never again mistake the stenographer for the presence in whose service it ought to remain. Now we must make a very old distinction that once you see it, will change the way you approach this night and every practice that follows. We have been chasing forms. We have wanted a peaceful feeling, a better sleep, a sweet glow of spirituality we could put on the shelf and say, "There, now I have silence." Do you see what I'm getting at? That is form. That is an object in time, an experience you can remember and then try to repeat. And if you aim at that form, you will live by it. You will depend on it. And one draft of cold wind through the window will scatter it. Must we stop appreciating a quiet room, a soft breath, a refreshed body? Certainly not. But let us be very clear. Any form, pleasant or not, is only an effect. Cause is something else. If tonight you found yourself sitting in a quiet house and said, "Ah, silence," and you were grateful because the neighbors turned their radio off, you would be like those people, good, sincere people, who are grateful for a paycheck. It is not wrong to be grateful, but which are you grateful for? The paper in your hand, or the ability, the productive capacity, the principle that can generate those checks, regardless of which envelope arrives? It isn't the little rectangle of paper that is power, it is the capacity to produce. So it is with silence. Do not be grateful because the clock stopped ticking or the phone did not ring. Be grateful as evidence that a deeper cause, a sustaining presence was already there, operating independent of neighbors, clocks, or phones, and that for a moment you did not interfere with it. Silence is not a trophy. You cannot go out and catch it and bring it home. You cannot wrestle it out of the air by effort. Silence is what remains when interference is removed. Silence is the state of being before you paint on it with talk. The presence that sustains your breath and keeps the planet spinning does not start and stop with your sentences. It is functioning whether the mind is loud or quiet. Now you see, our little one-night experiment is not to achieve silence as an outcome, but to remove enough meddling, enough commentary, that the ever-present I am, which is always at rest in itself, can be recognized without the fog machine. Let me say it in another way, because every class I have to bring this out. God is not a reactive agent waiting for your signal to rush in with a basket of quiet. God is a creative, maintaining, sustaining principle. You cannot call on it to do anything it is not already doing. When you sit down tonight and whisper, "Please make me calm," do you know what you have done? You have imagined a God off somewhere, withholding calm until you use the right words. That is sheer nonsense. We don't sit here at midnight and pray that sunshine will come in the morning. It comes because it is the nature of the sun to shine. We don't pray the ocean to be wet. It is wet because it is its nature. Peace is not a guest that has to be persuaded. Peace is the nature of presence. It makes no difference whether your nerves are jangling or the radio is blaring in the apartment above you. The nature of that presence does not change. What changes is whether we are interfering or recognizing. So when I say, "Sit you down quietly," I am not setting you to win a medal in stillness. I am saying, stop pushing the water around with your hands and watch the pond clear itself when you cease to stir it. The fish at the bottom were there all along. They were not created by your effort. The fact I am was there all along. It is not created by your best contemplation. Silence is not the prize at the end of struggle. Silence is the clearing of the fog you blew in by your own breath. And the minute you stop blowing, there it is. Some of you will ask, but what if nothing dramatic happens? What if I don't hear angels or see lights? It makes no difference. Do you see what I'm getting at? If nothing happens at all, if by outward measure you sat in a chair and came away with no story, that may be the holiest sign of the evening, for you will have learned the first and greatest truth. You are addicted to words. You may discover that 15 seconds of not commenting feels like hours because you measure your life in sentences, and the minute they stop, your clock seems broken. That discovery alone is grace. That is the first fruit. Do not throw it away because it did not come wrapped in fireworks. Fireworks are noise in the sky. Faith is quiet authority, and it does not have to prove itself to your senses with a light show. You see, our subtle ambition is to make a spiritual experience into another collectible. We want to have it, to say we had it, to compare it to someone else's, to repeat it. And that is precisely why it evaporates. You turned cause into form and then bowed to the form. Let us reverse it. Let the moment of quiet, if it comes, be taken as a sign that the cause is present, that the principle is functioning, that grace is already grace. Then be grateful for the cause, not the moment. Be grateful for the fountain, not the bucket of water you scooped out. The bucket will empty, the fountain will not. Now, this presence that I am speaking of, this principle, call it God if you like, call it life, call it I am, does not respond to your harangue. It is not persuaded by many words. It is recognized in stillness. Stand ye still and see the salvation of the Lord. Not stand ye clever, not stand ye poetic, stand ye still. The battle with words, the battle with nerves, the battle with tomorrow is not yours, but God's. And if, tonight, you find that the mind launches a counterattack and says, "Where are the results? Where is the peace?" you will smile at the beggar knocking on your own door and not hand him the keys. You will rest. Even if the surface is choppy, you will rest in the assurance that underneath, before, beneath, I am is. The tide may be out at the shore, but do you panic and pray it back? No. You recognize the law that governs it, and you wait. So it is here. Treat this as something sacred because it is, not because it earns you anything, not because you are performing for spiritual applause, but because you are turning from form to cause, away from toys toward the principle that makes all good possible. Do not rush out tomorrow to report your results. Keep them secret, keep them quiet inside, and let them grow from recognition into demonstration. When the time comes, you will find that peace is not a thing that appears and vanishes with the weather. You will find that peace is the signature of presence. And when you know the cause, the forms will take care of themselves, coming and going as they must, leaving you untouched in the center because the center is not a mood. The center is God. So we go into this night with a very simple understanding. We are not going to achieve silence. We are going to stop interfering and let silence reveal the one who was never absent. If there is a hush, be grateful to the principle that made it visible. If there is no hush, be grateful that you have seen the mechanism clamoring for the stage and that you are no longer mistaking it for yourself. Either way, the cause has been honored, and the cause, being what it is, will show itself more and more as the fog thins. Be still and know, not be still and make. Be still and know that I am. And in that knowing, you will discover that every form is a passing wave, and the ocean is not moved. Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God's. Keep that as a chorus tonight, because the mind, clever secretary that it is, will come knocking as soon as the lights are out. It knows the dark. It knows the hour when the house is quiet. That is its stage. And there, without any invitation from you, it will produce a parade. The unfinished conversation you wish you had managed better. The imagined disaster scheduled for tomorrow afternoon at 3. The file of old shames it keeps in the bottom drawer marked evidence. Do you see what I'm getting at? The mind manufactures battles in the dark and then asks you to fight them with words. It prints little newspapers and wants you to write a letter to the editor. It summons a court and wants you to argue both prosecution and defense. And if you accept the role, you will be up all night, not living, not knowing, only arguing. Now, in this class, we are not going out to meet them. We are not marching into the valley with banners to kill thoughts. We won't even take a pocket knife. Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God's. In other words, there is no battle until you provide one. These are only shadows on a wall. They have no substance until you throw your weight against them. You know this. When a gust of wind rattles the window, do you wrestle the air with your hands? You close the window or you let the wind pass. But the one thing you don't do is attempt to pummel the wind into quiet, because that is nonsense. So it is here. The one thing you cannot do and expect peace to follow is to fight the mind for silence. Fighting is more mind. Resistance is fuel. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and slap the thoughts. Not be still and bargain. If you leave me alone, I'll let you return at dawn. Be still. Let the thing that wants an argument stand outside your door and knock until its knuckles are sore. You won't open. You won't peer through the keyhole. You won't call through the door, "Who's there?" Because even that is hospitality. You will recognize the racket for what it is, a mechanism grinding away, looking for a host. Evil, call it fear, call it regret, call it the pride of cleverness, has a way of destroying itself unless you take up arms against it. If you take up arms, be assured of this. It is stronger than you are on its own ground, and you have already lost your night. Let me be very blunt, because sometimes the mind tries to dress in religious robes. The attempt to force silence by mental warfare is nonsense. It is just more willpower, and willpower builds bigger muscles on the very thing you are trying to quiet. It is like pushing a Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull, the tighter it grips. It is like thrashing in quicksand. The more you dramatize, the deeper you sink. Do you see? Every argument you offer the mind is another proof that you believe it has power. Every negotiation, 5 more minutes and then we can rest, is a confession that it is the master and you are the supplicant. That is not our posture. Our posture is spiritual authority through non-resistance, not from pride, not from personal strength, but from the recognition that presence is cause and mind chatter is only form. Form has no authority without your consent. So when the parade begins, if it does, stand ye still. You may feel agitation in the body. It makes no difference. You may hear sentences forming like clouds. It makes no difference. You may notice the old habit trying to lure you into rehearsal or defense. It makes no difference. We are not pretending the noise does not exist. We are refusing to identify with it. There is a vast difference. The actor may shout on stage. You are the room in which the play is heard. The waves may strike the cliff. You are the rock, not the spray. Be still and know. Let the waves exhaust themselves against something that does not oppose, and watch what happens. Without an adversary, the show has no second act. Now you see, non-resistance is not passivity. It isn't slumping into a gray fog. It is the most potent spiritual stance because it denies the only food error has, your belief. If a stray dog comes to your back door and you feed it sausage, it will bring its relatives. If you stop feeding, it will go elsewhere. The mind's battles are stray dogs. If you throw them scraps of your attention, they breed. If you stand quietly and do not feed, they move on. I'm not speaking theory. Dozens of times I have watched fear trip over its own feet when I refused to run with it, and I have watched it gather an army when I agreed to chase it down alleys to prove my innocence. You know this in your bones. Tonight you will practice it under sacred conditions. You may say, but what shall I do with the energy if I do not argue? Nothing. That is the point. You are not called to do battle. You are called to bear witness. The instruction is ancient and it is simple. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing is not striving. Witness is not warfare. Let the sense of I, the I that is before a sentence, be present without embroidery. If a thought arises, you will neither stamp it out nor follow it down the street. You will let it be and return to being. If a guilt scene begins to play, you will not rush in with edits. You will let the projector run on an empty theater. Without an audience, even the most dramatic picture fades into a white screen. And please do not make a new law that says, perfect quiet is the sign of success. That is just more idolatry of form. It makes no difference if tonight there is great noise or a gentle hush. The point is not what passes across the surface. The point is who you are before, beneath, and beyond the surface. The point is that you do not leave your seat to become a character in the storm. Silence deepens not because you strangled the weather, but because you leaned back into what does not weather. Be still and know that I am God. Those words are power because they are recognition, not request. You are not trying to make God present. You are letting presence be presence where you are. In this room, in this class, we are learning the difference between manipulation and surrender, between theater and temple. The temple is built of stillness. Its walls are not at war. When a passerby shouts from the street, the temple does not hang a banner and start a rally. It remains a temple. This is your inner posture. Treat it as sacred. Treat it as secret. Do not run to the window every time a noise arises. Let your night be an altar on which you lay down the compulsion to fix the mind with the mind. That compulsion has never healed anyone. Recognition has. Grace has. And grace operates, hear me, in the absence of your intervention. So, as the hours unfold and the old secretary rummages the files to stir you, remember, stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God's. Do not sign for certified letters delivered by fear. Do not explain yourself to phantoms. Do not measure your progress by decibels. Measure nothing. No, rest the attention in the bare fact I am. If the tide is out, we do not pray it back with urgency. We acknowledge the law and we wait. So it is with this. The mind may rise and fall. Presence does not. And as you refuse to enlist, as you stop feeding what never deserved your food, the clamor discovers it has no purchase and collapses of itself. Then, not by your might, not by your argument, but by the simple authority of non-resistance, you will know peace, not as a prize you won, but as the nature of the one who was with you all along. Stand ye still, be still, and know I am. Now let us be very plain, very simple. We are not setting out to stage a pageant. We are not going to prove anything to anyone, including ourselves. We are going to do a small thing as if it were great, because it is great in the only place that matters, in consciousness. Choose one evening, tonight, if you like, or the soonest one that can be kept quietly. Do not announce it. Do not call friends to say, I'm doing a holy thing. Treat this as something sacred, secret. The moment you enlist spectators, you have invited commentary, and tonight we are moving in the other direction. From the hour of your supper onward, reduce speech, that's all. Not a vow of silence, not a new identity called the Silent One. Just fewer words. Use speech for what must be done. Pass the salt. I'll wash these dishes. Good night. Let it be ordinary. Reduce input. Turn off the stream. News, music, opinions, even spiritual talk. No reading to stuff more ideas into the mind that we then have to set aside. Do what must be done in the house, quietly. Wipe the table, fold a shirt, put away a cup. Do it without narrating to yourself what a noble thing you are doing. Must we avoid every sound on earth? Certainly not. It makes no difference if the refrigerator hums or a car passes in the street. We are not manufacturing silence. We are recognizing presence. Prepare the room without ritualizing the room. A simple chair, a dimmer light if you like, the phone put away where its blinking cannot entice you. No altar building, no candles unless you need them to see. And even then, remember, the sacredness is not in the flame or the cushion. The temple is built of stillness. If the room is not perfectly tidy, it makes no difference. If you must sit on a kitchen chair or the edge of your bed, it makes no difference. God is not impressed with props. God is a creative, maintaining, sustaining principle, and it requires only recognition, not decoration. When you are ready, sit you down quietly. That is the instruction. Sit, hands at rest, on your lap, not clenched like a man hanging from a cliff. Shoulders easy, jaw relaxed. Let the breath do what it has been doing your whole life without your assistance. You are not going to work at meditation. Do you see what I'm getting at? Work would be more mind fighting for a prize. We are not after a prize. We are acknowledging a presence already present. So you sit and you wait, not with tension, not with a stopwatch, but with the same simple trust by which we do not sit up all night to pray the sun over the horizon. It rises. Peace is the nature of presence. Let it reveal itself. Now the habit will begin at once to narrate, I am beginning. This is going well. This is not going well. I feel a little calmer. I don't feel calm at all. Recognize that as the secretary rummaging in the files. Do not slam the drawer. Do not make a speech about not making a speech. Just notice, there is the impulse to comment, and let it pass. Return quietly, wordlessly, to the fact of being here. Not naming it, not describing. If you need a small doorway to turn you inward, use it and then stop. A soft thank you, addressed to no object in particular, only to the cause. A gentle be still, or the simplest, holiest, I am. Then stop. These are not affirmations to build a ladder to heaven. These are acknowledgments that the ladder was unnecessary. Say them once, perhaps twice, and then sit in the echo without adding syllables. Keep the body simple. If the back aches, adjust. If the foot goes to sleep, move it. No heroics. We are not monks competing for a ribbon. Any gesture you make it without commentary. Then settle again. Let the attention rest as a bird that has found its branch. If the mind throws a stone at the bird to watch it fly, it makes no difference. The bird is not required to lecture the stone. What about time? How long? It makes no difference. 10 minutes will do, or 20 or 5 repeated times of 5. If you watch the clock, do it only to prevent missing an appointment you must keep for the sake of your household and then return. We are not measuring success in minutes. We are learning to stop measuring. The sign that you have entered the spirit of this is not a long record in a notebook. It is the absence of the need to keep a record at all. If emotions rise, grief, anger, joy, do not diagnose. Do not start the family tree. This is because of my childhood. This is because of that conversation. Do you see? Tonight is not the night for tracing causes in form. Form is not cause. Let the tears, if they come, fall without voiceover. Let the warmth, if it comes, be warmth without a story of how advanced you are. If fear stirs, do not strike it. Let it stand outside the door and tire itself on wood it cannot open. Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God's. Presence is not afraid of a feeling. Presence has no opposite. If drowsiness comes, let it come. You are not doing penance. You are not testing your worthiness by staying awake to prove devotion. If sleep takes you like a child in its arms, go with it. Sleep in God. And if you wake in the small hours, do not reach for explanation. Do not shake the clock and say, "Is this spiritual insomnia?" No, lie quiet. If a word is needed, let it be the softest "thank you," and then be still again. The night belongs to God. The tides move without your labor. You will find the impulse to jump up and write a revelation. Resist kindly, not as a struggle, but as a wisdom. The seed must be kept in the earth. Treat this as something sacred, secret. If a line appears and demands a pen, ask it to return when it is ripe. If it is real, it will return, and it will return with fruit, not merely with words. Do not translate cause into form before the root has taken. Carry it down to Egypt, quietly, until it is strong enough to travel openly. Do not make a rule against moving, yet do not fidget. Let movements be few and unannounced. If you must rise to turn off a faucet, rise and return, as if walking in a sanctuary. No scolding yourself for disruption, no awarding yourself medals for stillness. Do you see what I'm getting at? The tyranny we have unseated is the one that always evaluates. Tonight, there is nothing to evaluate. When you are ready to leave the chair, do so without breaking the thread. Prepare for bed as if you were still in the same sanctuary, because you are. Brush your teeth quietly. Place the glass in the sink quietly. Pull back the covers quietly. Do not narrate sleep. Do not demand dreams. Lay the body down and let presence remain awake to itself while the body rests. If the house creaks, it makes no difference. If a siren wails in the distance, it makes no difference. The presence that is peace is not threatened by decibels. Be still and know. In the morning, do not hold court. Do not post about your night. Do not grade it. Do not even congratulate yourself. Rise and do what the day asks, and if a memory of quiet brushes the edge of your mind, nod within and keep it as your pearl. This is not self-improvement. This is yielding. The method is not striving. It is sitting quietly and allowing quiet to descend without commentary. And if you say, "But I had no great silence," it makes no difference. You had a night in which you refused to feed the beggar at your door, and that is the beginning of dominion. You had moments when the secretary shuffled and you did not sign the letter, and that is the beginning of freedom. So we keep it very simple. Choose the night. Reduce speech. Reduce input. Prepare a plain place. Sit you down quietly. If you need a doorway, a single thank you, a single be still. Step through and then stop. Let quiet descend of its own nature, not of your manufacture. When narration arises, do not hire it. When feeling rises, do not investigate it. When sleep comes, let it. Keep the gift secret. Let it grow into demonstration. And in all of it, under all of it, the same law holds. Stand ye still, be still, and know, I am. Now we come to the point toward which the whole evening has been moving, and if you miss this, you will have sat in a chair and kept a rule and gained nothing. Do you see what I'm getting at? When the sentence stops, something remains that is not a sentence. When the description falls away, even the religious description, there is a fact present, a living, unargued fact. You do not create it by your quiet. Your quiet simply ceases to cover it. Be very still now, even in the hearing of these words, and notice, before any name, before any role, there is a bare sense of being here. Not I am this, not I am that, simply I am. That is not a thought. That is not a history. That is presence. We must distinguish two little words that share one shape, but do not share one nature. On the one hand, there is the personal I, the collection of photographs in an album, the curriculum vitae of wins and losses, the roster of opinions and fears, the mask that says, I am tired, I am clever, I am injured, I am spiritual. That one is stitched together from yesterday's mail and tomorrow's forecast. It is as changeable as weather and as nervous as a clerk, trying to balance books that were never his to keep. This I is the vendor at the marketplace, forever calling out wares, bargaining, defending territory. On the other hand, there is the I that is not a person at all, but presence, the I am that says of itself, before Abraham was, I am. Not was, not will be, I am. This is not poetry. This is principle. This I is not a character inside your head. It is the life by which the head is animated. It is the light by which the thoughts are seen and the stillness by which their noise is not needed. In Hebrew days there was a caution about naming God. The name was treated as holy, not because of superstition, but because they understood that to turn the name into an object of speech was to step down from the mountain and carve an idol. When Moses heard, I am that I am, he was given not a label but a revelation of being, self-existence as the source and substance of all that appears. The Master said, I am the bread, I am the light, I am the way. And if you read that carnally, you will think it is a man boasting of his role. Read it in spirit, and you will hear presence announcing its nature as supply, illumination, direction wherever it individualizes. Now you see why we have been so intent on non-resistance, on ceasing commentary, not because silence earns you a badge, but because only when the vendor stops shouting do you notice the marketplace is held within a sky that never shouts and never bargains. The personal I lives by sentences. The sacred I am is before sentences and remains after them. The personal I tries to be peaceful. It says, I am attempting, I am progressing, I am almost there. Nonsense. Peace is not the result of that I doing anything. Peace is the nature of I am recognized when the vendor rests. Let me bring it very close. Sit for a moment as you will sit tonight and notice the first murmur of a sentence and then let it dissolve. What is left is not a blank. It is not sleep. It is a simple fact. I am. If you attempt to make a prayer of it, to move it with your tongue and multiply words, I am strong, I am loving, I am successful, you have walked back into the stall and taken up the salesman's pitch. That is not what we are doing. The sacred formula is not a formula at all. It is an acknowledgement. I am, full stop. Not I am this, not I am that, I am. In that recognition, you will sense a quiet authority that needs no adjective. Do you feel how different that is? The personal I needs witnesses. The I am is its own witness. Treat this as something sacred, secret. I beg you, do not run down the stairs tomorrow and announce to the family, I have discovered I am. Do not go to your office and glue the words on a mug. The mind will steal it and wear it as vanity. It will say, I am God, meaning I, the character with all my appetites, am now licensed to strut. That is sheer stupidity, and worse, it is dangerous to your peace because it binds you again to the most fragile I you know, the one that starts and ends each day and must be propped up with compliments. Keep quiet. Keep the word within as you would keep a pearl in the fold of your garment. Seeds do not sprout when held up on platforms to be admired. They sprout in dark, warm earth. Pull a sprout up to show the neighbors, and you have killed your harvest. So it is here. Let the I am root in you until it shows itself as life, as love, as supply, as wisdom, without advertisement. Why must it be secret? Because the vendor hears every sound in the marketplace and will turn even holiness into a product if you let him. The mind will take I am and sell it two ways. As pride, I have attained, or as argument, I can outtalk you with my doctrine. Either way, you are back where you began, measuring yourself in sentences. Keep it where the vendor cannot set up a table, in the heart's silence. Let it be your private password, but don't use it as a password to get into egotistical rooms. Use it as the key to the temple and enter alone. Now, someone will say, "But what of me? Do I count for nothing? Didn't you say God operates through the individual?" Certainly, there has to be a you, but hear this. The you through whom God operates is not the vendor with his ledger. It is the place where I am announces itself. Individuality is the transparency of the universal. You are that transparency, not the figure painted on the glass. When you rest as I am, not as a role, you discover that the only true function of your I is to bear witness, to let the creative, maintaining, sustaining principle be itself where you appear. Then there is no strain to be good, no drama to be spiritual. There is only the ease of being, so natural that you will wonder why you ever tried to polish it. Do not therefore try to use I am to get results. That changes cause into a lever, and cause cannot be levered. We do not sit to whisper, I am, and then peek to see if money has appeared on the table. That is childish, and it keeps you bound to forms. We rest as I am and let demonstration take care of itself. When a form comes, we are grateful, not for the form, but as evidence of what operated to bring it there. When a form goes, we are steady, not because we are stoics, but because the fountain does not weep when a bucket is spilled. Now you see why we have been saying, it makes no difference. It makes no difference what arises when you sit. It makes no difference whether the night is noisy or hushed, whether emotion trembles or the body sleeps. These are movements in the marketplace. Let them move. The only thing that matters in this holy experiment is that you recognize beneath the moving that which does not move, I am. If you lose the thread and discover yourself arguing with a memory, do not condemn yourself. Return. If you find yourself sparkling with some new phrase and tempted to polish it for the world, do not scold. Smile inwardly, set the phrase down, and return. Return to the plain, undescribed sense of being. Each return is like a root going deeper. Each refusal to decorate is food withheld from the vendor. Stand ye still. Be still and know that I am God. Do not try to fix that sentence. Know it. Let it know you. Let the two words I am settle into you, not as a thought, but as the floor on which thought stands. Then the personal I will continue to do its errands. It will wash the dishes, answer the phone, speak when speech is required, but it will be servant, not master. You will not be fooled into thinking the name on the envelope is your life. Your life will be the one who answers to no name. And because I must say this every class, lest some eager one run out and spoil his seed, keep it secret, keep it sacred. For a long season, 2 years if needed, longer if needed, tell no man. Do not so much as hint except where love and wisdom make it unavoidable. Let the babe grow. Let the inner Christ be nursed in silence. Let the day come when no one needs your story because your presence feeds them, not because you announce it, but because they rest near you and find that words have lost their tyranny, and peace is present without argument. That is demonstration. That is the proof that the I beneath personality has been recognized not as a mood, but as your identity. So tonight, as the house quiets and the vendor grows drowsy, do not rattle his stall. Do not try to evict him by force. Let him sleep, and in that stillness discover the one who neither sleeps nor wakes, the I am that is presence, not description. Rest there, not I am trying, not I am improving, but simply, profoundly, I am. And in that rest you will know why all our talk leads here and stops, because here words have no office. Here God is known as being, and you, without effort, without achievement, are that being's transparency. Thank you. Now, if the evening were to end there, the story would be too neat. You know, and I know that the moment we touch silence, the marketplace wakes up early and opens more stalls. Do you see what I'm getting at? Expect this. Expect it as you would expect the tide. The mind, threatened by lack of employment, will launch a counterattack. First it gets louder, then it bargains, then it accuses, then it demands proof. If you know the pattern, you will not be frightened by it, and you will not negotiate with it. The first movement is noise. The instant you sit down, you will discover all the errands you did not know you had. Stand up and fix the light, check the door, look at the phone, remember the conversation from 3 years ago. Nonsense. Not wickedness, just the vendor singing louder because you are not buying. What do? Nothing. Don't medicate the noise with new words. Don't shout, be still, be still, be still, like a drill sergeant. Sit you down quietly and let the noise show itself as noise. Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God's. The moment you begin to wrestle, you have given the noise status as a power, and you are out of your sanctuary and back in the street. Let the dog bark and do not bark back. When the shouting fails to move you, the bargaining starts. All right, it says, 10 minutes of this, and then we will have a reward. If we sit tonight, surely we get a little light show, a gentle thrill, a word from on high. If not, what's the point? Do you see how old that is? It is the same childish pact we made with toys, with money, with applause. To try to make a trade with God is sheer stupidity. God is not a merchant at your counter. God is a creative, maintaining, sustaining principle already being God. You cannot bribe the sun to rise, and you cannot promise it your devotion for a pinker dawn. We do not sit for a prize. We sit because the presence is present, and speech is not required to sustain it. When bargaining fails, the old prosecutor arrives. You're doing it wrong. This is a waste of time. You are not holy enough for this. Remember your past. Remember that unkind word. Remember the dishes in the sink. A real contemplative would not think of dishes. That voice is a liar by nature, and if you start answering its charges, you will be in court all night. It makes no difference what it says. Hear me. If you snapped at a child this morning, if you forgot a bill, if you broke your own best intention before supper, it makes no difference to presence. We are not earning God. We are recognizing what already is. Do not punish yourself. Do not defend yourself. Return. Every self-accusation is just more commentary, and commentary is not identity. Stand ye still. Then comes the demand for results. What did you get? Where's the peace? Prove it. Prove it with a vision. Prove it with a warm current from the spine to the crown. Prove it with a miracle by breakfast. Seeking a spiritual experience is the same old object hunting in a new suit. Nonsense disguised as devotion. If you chase a feeling, you have left the temple and entered the theater. The presence we are speaking of is not an event. It is not a flash to be bottled. It is the ground. It is what remains when the demand for events dissolves. If an experience arises, bless it and let it pass. If none arises, bless that and be still. It makes no difference. Now you will say, but I failed. I talked. I grabbed at a thought and wrote it for 10 minutes. I looked at the clock and gave a report. So what? Begin again. Begin in the next breath. Begin in the middle of the sentence you just began. The grace of God is not strained by your stumbles. This is not a test of your willpower. It is a yielding to the always acting principle. Do you see? The very impulse to return, the very hint within that says, drop this and be, is grace announcing itself. If you scold yourself, you have made a new idol of performance. Lay it down. It makes no difference how many times you return. Each return is new. Each return is deeper. There is a sign, not the kind the mind demands, not fireworks, but a subtle hint that the counterattack is losing its glamour. You will notice a gap, a pause, a breath's worth of space in which the sentence starts and you see it start, and in that seeing, you are not it. That is all. No halo, no certificate, just the quiet fact that awareness is not fused with the words it watches. Don't celebrate it. Don't tell it to your neighbor. Don't put a frame around it. Keep it secret. Keep it sacred. This is the beginning of dominion. The waves still come, but they are not the ocean. The noise may not even lessen at first, but it cannot compel. It dances before you, and you need not dance. In this phase, you will also notice the mind's inventiveness around regret. It will unroll an old carpet of mistakes and say, walk this again and maybe you can undo it in thought. That is a cruel trick. You cannot correct yesterday's pattern with tonight's analysis. Let it pass. If there is an apology to be made, you will know it in the morning without hysteria. If there is a bill to be paid, you will pay it without drama. Tonight is not the night for rearranging furniture. Tonight is for non-resistance. Evil, error, agitation, accusation has a way of destroying itself unless you take up arms against it. Do not take up arms. Stand ye still and watch it tire itself without your breath. What if restless energy surges through the body? What if the leg jumps, the shoulder tightens? Adjust, then settle. Say nothing about it. Do not drape it in meaning. The body has weather. Let it pass across the sky. What if the clock says late and the mind says, you will be tired tomorrow, you will fail at your duties, you will pay for this silly sitting? The same answer. It makes no difference. You will sleep when sleep comes. And if you wake small hours, remember we do not force quiet. We consent to it. A soft thank you, not to an object, but to cause, and be still. Now you see the whole picture. The mind will get louder, it will bargain, it will accuse, it will demand proof. Your work is beautifully simple. Refuse the bargain, not by fighting, not by arguing doctrine with it. Oh, that is just more marketplace chatter, but by returning without fanfare to the place where you do not buy. Sit you down quietly, stand ye still. If you speak a word, let it be a doorway, then close the door behind you. If you stumble, it makes no difference. Begin again. And if tonight there is only the smallest pause, the tiniest interval where you witness and do not become, rejoice silently. That is presence recognized, not as a mood you created, but as the floor beneath all moods. Guard this. Do not turn it into merchandise. Do not count it. Don't compare it. Don't sell it to yourself as progress. Treat it as something sacred, my secret. Let it mature until it is no longer an interval but a climate. And even then, do not talk about climate. Live in it. Walk into tomorrow with the same refusal to bargain, with the same ease of return. And you will find that the vendor is quieter, not because you defeated him, but because you ceased to hire him. The demand for results will lose its teeth because you are no longer paying for proofs. The very need to prove will appear as the last toy on the shelf, and you will smile and pass by and be. Now, having laid down the sword and refused the bargain, let us speak of what takes the sword's place. If we are not to argue, not to plead, not to fill the air with words, how then does guidance appear? Must there be a voice? Certainly not. Stop this nonsense of trying to make God talk English to satisfy the senses. Being speaks, yes, but being does not chatter. Presence communicates as peace, as rightness, as a weight set down from the chest, as a clarity that needs no debate. Do you see what I'm getting at? It is the silence itself turning from emptiness into authority, quiet authority. You will know it not by gooseflesh or by theatrics, but by the absence of strain. Compassion without effort, direction without argument, confidence without a speech. This is the language of presence. Now you see why we have insisted that God is principle, creative, maintaining, sustaining. You cannot persuade a principle to visit you any more than you can beg the tide to remember its hour. The principle is already being what it is. When you grow still, you are not summoning it. You are ceasing to stand in its way. We do not sit up at night praying that the sun will rise. We rest in the rightness of what already is, and in the morning we walk by its light. So it is with inner assurance. It is not manufactured by your best phrases. It is recognized when your phrases retire. How does this alter life? Instantly, outwardly? Perhaps not. It makes no difference. What changes first is your vantage. Problems that were mountains become waves on the surface. Real as appearances, yes, but you can see the deep, and the deep is unchanged. Fear loses its legal case because its evidence is noisy but not binding. In other words, when quiet authority is the floor, anxiety can parade, but it cannot command. Let me bring this down where you live, because if it cannot be lived at the kitchen table, it is not our teaching. A family tension presents itself. Voices sharpen, old stories are rehearsed. A holiday that should be tender sours. In the old way, you enter the fray, armed with explanations. In the new, you feel the first pull, and then there is a pause, so slight that only you notice. In that pause, you do nothing, not because you are weak, but because you are resting in the one who is never threatened. From that rest, a word may come, simple, unadorned, not a performance, or no word at all, only a softened gaze and a hand that does not strike. Do you see? Being has spoken, not as syllables, but as non-resistance that dissolves the heat. Perhaps the conversation continues, perhaps it does not. It makes no difference. The atmosphere has shifted. You have not won an argument, you have revealed a presence. And very often, without your effort, a heart in the room will unclench because you decline to tighten the rope. Or take the familiar blow of a financial worry. A bill arrives. The figure is larger than the figure in your ledger. The vendor in you starts to cry, hurry, scheme, borrow, tremble. In earlier days, you would have obeyed the first three and added a fourth, blame. Now, sit you down quietly. Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God. In that stillness, the old idolatry of numbers is seen for what it is, forms calling themselves cause. Gratitude returns not for dollars, but for the grace that produces them. From that recognition, a sane next step reveals itself. Not a frantic project, a sane step. A phone call made without shame, an expense postponed without fear, a service offered with dignity, a forgotten channel remembered. Do you notice there is no panic in it? The forms may not change in the hour, but the cause is in place, and cause demonstrates in its season. The deep is not offset by a surface figure. Or your body speaks with discomfort, and the mind writes prescriptions of doom. Now, it says, build a tower of diagnosis at midnight. Nonsense, we do not wrestle the body, and we do not ignore wisdom either. We stand in the same place, non-resistance, resting in presence as life, as order, as the health of all that it animates. From that quiet, you will know whether to lie down, to call a physician, to drink water, to do nothing at all. The choice will be simple, free of drama. You will not be proving God by refusing help, and you will not be denying God by accepting it. Do you see what I'm getting at? God is principle, already maintaining. Your peace is not a badge. It is an opening through which wisdom walks where you appear. This is how consciousness serves as channel. There has to be a you, yes, but not the vendor you. There has to be a transparency through which quiet authority looks at a world intent on scaring itself and refuses to be recruited. Then presence speaks, not into your ear, but into your atmosphere, and from that atmosphere words, if needed, come with a rightness that does not bruise. You will be surprised at the gentleness of your no, the firmness of your yes, and the absence of apology in either. You will discover, even in traffic, even at the office, even in the doctor's waiting room, that you carry an inner climate, and people will unconsciously breathe easier next to you. Not because you announce, but because peace announces itself. Someone will say, "But how do I know it is not just my preference dressed up as guidance?" By its fruit. Preference demands agreement and grows irritated when challenged. Quiet authority has no enemy. It does not argue for itself, and it does not push. It is willing to wait, to reconsider, to act without fanfare. And hear this, it is bathed in compassion, not the sweet, sentimental kind that makes a show, but the kind that recognizes its own self in the other, and therefore cannot harm. When being speaks as you, the hand opens without calculation, the voice softens without effort, and sometimes the most compassionate act is to say nothing at all and be. Now, keep your footing. The world tonight will say 1,000 things. It will forecast trouble, it will praise, and it will blame. It makes no difference. Presence is not improved by your words, nor diminished by their absence. If you fall into speech, fine. If you spend a day almost mute, fine. The measure is not the sound, but the source. Are you standing in the deep? Are you allowing the waves their dance without offering them your throne? Are you willing to let guidance arrive without a trumpet and to let it lead without your posters on the corner? Treat this as something sacred, secret. Don't go out selling your new calm. Let it do its own advertising in the healing of small frictions, the vanishing of little fears, the end of retaliatory sentences, half formed and then dissolved in mercy. So when you rise tomorrow, do not ask for a voice. Ask for nothing. Be still and know. Walk into the kitchen as one who has already been spoken to by silence. Walk into the office as one who has nothing to prove because being is its own proof. If an emergency shouts, stand ye still. If an answer is needed, it will appear in the same garment in which presence always appears, peace. And if nothing is needed, let nothing be your offering. In that way, eternal identity ceases to be a phrase and becomes quiet authority, the natural government of your day. Then you will understand why we have said all along, we are not adding power to your life. We are removing interference from the power that is life, and you, without strain, without announcement, will be its transparency. Now, listen closely, because this is where many of our students, even after a lovely touch of quiet, lose what they think they gained. Do you remember how the babe in Scripture was carried down to Egypt? Why? Protection. Not because the child was weak in essence, but because the world of Herod, ambition, fear, argument was hunting for it. So it is with your first awareness of I am. Treat this as something sacred, secret. Tell no man. I don't mean become mysterious for effect. No, stop that nonsense. I mean inner custody. Do not expose a tender realization to the marketplace for debate, approval, or display. The seed has life in it, but you can crush it with boots made of words. Must we never speak of God then? Certainly not. But do you see what I'm getting at? There is a time for sowing and a time for harvest. There is a season when the word must be hidden in the soil of your own heart, watered by silence, guarded by non-resistance. The first contact with I am is a seed. What does the impatient farmer do? He digs it up to see how it is growing. He shows it to his neighbor. He argues about the angle of the sun. He writes down a boast. I planted a seed last night, and by morning he wonders why there is no blade. Sheer stupidity. You cannot force grace by chatter. You cannot fulfill a pregnancy by public announcements every day. Carry it down to Egypt, out of sight of Herod, out of the reach of your own proud mind, and let it grow of itself. Practical secrecy, then, very simply. Don't announce your one night of silence. Don't call a friend to report your stillness as if it were a new car. Don't post a certificate to the wall of your mind. Contemplative, first degree. Don't recruit others to vindicate your practice. If there is a spouse in the house, be gentle. Say only what courtesy requires about your sitting down quietly, and even then say it once and be done. No salesmanship. No diary read into the ears of those who never asked. Live it. Let it be the most ordinary of things. You rise, you sit you down quietly, you go about your affairs without a parade. If you feel a little warmth, keep it. If you feel nothing at all, keep that too. It makes no difference. The keeping is the point. Secrecy is not shame. It is hygiene for the soul. Why this discipline? Because the mind has a way of turning holiness into a costume. Give it one glimpse of a light within, and it will publish a brochure, print a calling card, and invite arguments so it can stay employed. If you throw this babe into dispute, the slogans of Herod, prove it, define it, defend it, will hack at the crib. Don't let the swords near it. Let them tire in the street while you and the child rest in Egypt. When the season is right, when demonstration is present, the child walks out on his own feet. Until then, protect. What is demonstration? Not a story told before applause. Not a glow you swear to on a stack of journals. Demonstration is fruit, and fruit is unmistakable. More patience where you were quick to bite. Less fear where you were quick to build catastrophes. Fewer reactions. Oh, notice this. An insult lands and the old spring doesn't snap. A red light blinks and there is no volcano. A bill appears and the breath stays soft. A pain visits and drama fails to gather its army. And when you do tumble, as all of us do, the return is swift. Where once it took days to come home, now it takes minutes, then heartbeats. That is demonstration. No announcement, no debate. Peace does its own advertising in healed edges, in the vanishing of little wars. Do you see? Someone will say in this room, but shouldn't we testify so others may be helped? We are not running a market for testimonies. We are letting God be God. If a word of encouragement is drawn from you, it will be drawn, not pushed. It will come without the smell of promotion, and it will be simple as bread. Until then, tell no man, not because the world is unworthy, but because the child is new. For at least a season, oh, if you want a number, take 2 years if you must. We guard the inner awareness, so it may grow into a full-grown reality. After that, even your silence will speak, and what you are will bear more witness than anything you might say. And even then, you will not go about declaring yourself. You will go about living, and those ready will find their way to the quiet. Do you see the wisdom of non-resistance woven through all this? Stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God. You do not need to go out to fight error or to sell truth. You need not argue with scoffers or impress seekers. Live in a state of inner peace which is not at war, and watch how evil, agitation, pride, the urge to perform, destroys itself for lack of an enemy in you. God is principle, already creating, maintaining, sustaining. Your secrecy does not starve the world. It removes interference so the principle may operate through you without strain. And now, a gentle view of the horizon. The day will come, and I do not speak idly, when this will be natural, not exotic. The day will come when households discover that their true economy is quiet, that tempers have no throne in a home washed with stillness, that governments and schools will grow tired of shouting and begin to sit, even for a few minutes before making edicts. The day will come when humanity will fight less because it will dwell more, dwell in the secret place of the Most High, not as a phrase on a wall, but as an atmosphere. You, by guarding this seed, help bring that day nearer, not by crusade, by climate. So carry it down to Egypt tonight. Hide the word I am in your heart, as you would a pearl in a safe pocket. Do not look at it every 5 minutes to admire its shine. Keep it close, keep it plain. Tomorrow, pour coffee without ceremony. Answer the mail without an aura. Meet the demand of the day without a speech. If you are pressed to explain your calm, smile and change the subject. Let the presence announce itself in your patience. Let God's grace, not your mouth, be the sign. And when Herod's voice wanders far and the child has grown, you will not need my permission to speak or my reminder to keep silent. You will know effortlessly, because the life of the seed will have become your life, and your life will be demonstration. It makes no difference who sees or fails to see. The work will be done quietly, surely, as ever it is. Now, as we come to the close of this night, we will not end with a performance. We will not strike cymbals or summon a feeling to prove that something holy occurred. Must we shout to convince ourselves? Certainly not. We will do the most daring thing a restless age can do. We will rest. We will rest in I am, not as a phrase that needs your breath, but as presence that needs nothing from you to be itself. Do you see what I'm getting at? This is not the moment to become a poet. This is the moment to become transparent. Treat this as something sacred by secret. Let the word do its own work in the sanctuary where words are not required. So hear, not with ears alone, but with the heart that knows its source. And don't repeat after me as from a stage. Let each line be a recognition that rises of itself. Quietly, inwardly. I am the peace that does not borrow proof. I am the rest beneath all movements and the pause within all thoughts. I am the bread that does not run out and the hunger that is already satisfied. I am the water that needs no cup, the well that never asks a rope. I am the light by which the eye sees, and the light by which the heart understands. I am the way that does not hurry, and the path that does not argue. I am the door that no man opens and no man shuts, for I was never locked. I am the shepherd and the pasture. I am the gate and the field. I am the health of what I animate, the order of what appears as life. I am the supply before the coin, the cause before the figure. I am the wisdom that speaks without language, and the compassion that acts without witness. I am the calm in the storm, and the ocean beneath the foam. I am the stillness not made by silence, and the silence that survives the noise. I am the life that does not begin and cannot end. I am the presence that is present when every word dissolves. Now you see, none of this is a boast. It is not the personality expanding its resume. It is being naming itself in you as you, without applause, without advertisement. If a tear comes, let it be a quiet tear. If nothing comes at all, do not go fishing for a sensation. It makes no difference. What matters is the consent to be still. Be still and know that I am God. Stand ye still, the battle is not yours, but God. Let those lines not be sentences merely. Let them be the posture of your night and the government of your day. And because we are practical, because our way must be lived at the kitchen table and not only in a hall, here is the experiment, simple, gentle, free of drama. Tonight, Before sleep, give 1 hour to reduced words, not an hour of forced muteness, no, an hour in which you do only what is needful and do it quietly, devices away, pages closed. Sit you down quietly, or wash a few dishes quietly, or walk slowly in your own room, quietly, no commentary. If a word must be spoken, speak it and let it settle like a feather. No bargain with God for a prize. No diary in your head about how well you're doing. If you forget and tell yourself 3 stories, stop mid-sentence and begin again. It makes no difference how many beginnings it takes. Each beginning is new. When, in a later season, the impulse arises to let words rest for a whole night, let it be natural, not heroic. Make room for it as you would make room for a guest of honor. Then say nothing about it. Keep it sacred, secret. Do not report in the morning. Pour the coffee, answer the mail, meet the day without a speech. The measure is not that you finished a silent marathon. The measure is that silence finished you, finished your bargaining, finished your urge to prove, finished the need to narrate yourself to yourself. Some of you will say, but how shall I know if I am doing it right? By the nature of your return, not by fireworks, not by a scroll from heaven. You will know because forgetting loses its teeth. You will know because each time you notice you have wandered, you come back without scolding. You will know because the need to accuse yourself fades, and the willingness to begin again is effortless. That willingness is grace. You did not manufacture it. It is the creative, maintaining, sustaining principle announcing itself. Do you see? The cause is present, and you are simply ceasing to interfere. And now let us gather the ends into one chord. When words stop, being speaks, not as chatter, not as a lecture addressed to your ear, but as a weightless weight of rightness. In that rightness you discover the difference between the voice that narrates you and the I that is you, the sacred I am, not the ego I that must be seen, must be heard, must be justified. When the commentary pauses, even for a breath, you know yourself as that I. And knowing, you do not need to hold it with your hands. You relax the grip of self-improvement and rest in identity. Carry this, then, as your smallest, repeatable practice. In the car at a red light, 1 breath, no commentary. In the office before you answer, 1 heartbeat of stillness. In the home when tempers knock, 1 pause that refuses to hire the old vendor. That is all. A pause is not weakness. A pause is where the deep is remembered. From that remembrance, words, if they are needed, will come without injury. Actions, if they are required, will arrive without pomp. And many times, nothing will be needed, and you will let nothing be your offering. Do not worry about tomorrow's performance. We are not putting you on display. We are releasing you from display. If you forget 100 times, begin 101. If you remember twice in a day, bless those 2 and be at peace. It makes no difference how frequently you falter or how quickly you learn the trick of returning. The grace of God is the cause, and it is ever present. You are not summoning it, you are recognizing it, and recognition grows by resting, not by wrestling. So I send you forth without fanfare, as a lamp is carried into another room and simply continues being light. Keep the word I locked within, not prisoned, but treasured. Let it govern you without announcement until demonstration appears, as patience where there was haste, as tenderness where there was defense, as sufficiency where there was figure fear. Tell no man, live it, and when the day presses, stand ye still. The battle is not yours, but God. One last time, quietly, inwardly, let the anaphora of identity settle like rain. I am the peace, I am the rest, I am the bread, I am the water, I am the light, I am the way, I am the life, I am. Go now in that quiet authority. Walk gently, speak simply, and let presence make its own case through your calm. It makes no difference who notices. The work is done where noticing cannot reach. Thank you.